la 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 la. Oh, geez, that kid's got a lot of energy. But there's something weird with the way he's speaking and walking.
Oh, hey, Lily. What are you doing here?
Oh, hello, doctor. I was just looking around, but I noticed that this boy is acting a bit unusual. What happened to him?
Ah, I see you've met Kean. He's one of our patients who is diagnosed with the Sanfilippo Syndrome.
What?
Sanfilippo Syndrome. It's a genetic disorder that affects metabolism caused by a mutation in the genes. This prevents the production of enzymes needed to break down specific sugars, resulting in the harmful buildup in their body. It affects the brain and causes progressive cognitive and physical decline. And that specific compound is called GAG.
Ah, I see now. I understand. But is it a common disorder, doctor? Because I have never heard of that syndrome before. Have you heard of it before?
That's okay. It's completely understandable if you've never heard of it. Sanfilippo syndrome is indeed a very rare disorder. In fact, it only affects 0.00002% of the global population and is most prevalent in Northern and Eastern Europe.
Whoa, that's such a small percentage. Wait, how do we know so much about the disease if it's so rare?
Actually, the number of cases may be a little underestimated. The disease is often delayed or misdiagnosed because of the symptoms, as they are kind of subtle and may progress very slowly, making it harder for us healthcare providers to suspect this rare disorder. In fact, it took us more than a year to diagnose Kean with Sanfilippo syndrome.
Over a year? What were the symptoms you were looking for? And how difficult are they to identify?
Great questions, Lily. The first thing you should know is that the symptoms of Sanfilippo syndrome generally appear in early childhood and progress over time. You should also know that, unfortunately, most children with Sanfilippo syndrome do not survive into adulthood. There are 3 stages of symptoms: early, middle, and late. The early stage usually appears between ages 1 and 4 years old. Children at this age show developmental delays like struggling with speech and motor skills. Furthermore, children with this syndrome tend to be very hyperactive and usually have difficulty falling asleep. And as they enter the middle stage of development at around ages 5 to 10, the symptoms become more severe. Behavioral problems such as aggression and self-injury are unfortunately common, and they also lose any learned skills including speech and comprehension and may find difficulty in walking or other coordination problems. In the late stage, usually after 10 years of age, the children face severe neurological impairment, making it increasingly difficult for them to move and communicate, eventually becoming dependent on caretakers.
That's very terrible. It must be difficult for both the child and their families. How is that even diagnosed?
Well, like with Kean, diagnosing Sanfilippo syndrome can be very challenging. The symptoms tend to be a lot like those of more common developmental disorders like autism or ADHD, which leads to delays in getting the right diagnosis. We start by first noticing developmental delays or behavioral problems and only move on to genetic testing if Sanfilippo syndrome is suspected, to check for mutations in their genes, potentially causing the disease. Additionally, MRI and urine tests can be done to see if there's excess sugars in the child's body, the ones that affect the brain.
But I don't get it, doctor. Why does sugar building up in the body cause Sanfilippo syndrome? Doesn't sugar get digested in the stomach?
Not that kind of sugar, Lily. Instead, they're called glycosaminoglycans, or GAGs for short. These are complex sugars that are important to building tissues or supporting your joints. They're great. It's just the only problem is, without the enzymes, the body can't break them down, and they start piling up like trash in cells, causing damage. And it just so happens that nerve cells are especially sensitive to these kinds of damage. And over time, it leads to the progressive symptoms that we talked about earlier, like cognitive decline and loss of motor skills.
Is there any way to treat Sanfilippo syndrome?
That's a very important yet heavy question, Lily. Currently, there are no cures for Sanfilippo syndrome. However, there are treatments that help manage symptoms for these children to improve their quality of life for as long as possible. Supportive care is our main approach: physical therapy, speech therapy, behavioral therapy to manage aggression or hyperactivity, and anything that helps with their degenerating symptoms.
So, all we can do is just make life easier for them?
I know it sounds discouraging, Lily, but making life easier for them is actually very meaningful. Supportive care can make a huge difference in their daily lives to help them enjoy more precious moments with their loved ones. Besides, it's not like we're giving up. Scientists are making incredible progresses in dealing with treatments like gene therapy or enzyme replacement therapy. We might not be there now, but these could one day change the lives of children with Sanfilippo syndrome and their families.
Yeah, you're right. There's still hope for the future.
Exactly. There's no time to be moping. Every small step forward is one step closer to a breakthrough. In the meantime, we can help families find the support, resources, and communities to help them through this journey.
Yeah, I can help out too. The disease is pretty rare, right? What if I did something like making an awareness poster, or 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 share information about this through social media?
That's a brilliant idea, Lily. Talking about Sanfilippo syndrome and sharing information and helping others understand the condition can make a big difference. It helps families feel less alone and might even inspire more support for research. Raising awareness in any way you can, even in small ways, can create a butterfly effect that leads to more understanding, better resources, and maybe even faster breakthroughs in research.
And maybe even a cure.
Especially even a cure.
Come on, everyone. We've learned so much about Sanfilippo syndrome today. You know what they say: knowledge is the first step toward action. Let's all together create a brighter future for children and families facing this condition.
Wow, Lily, I love your enthusiasm. Thank you all for taking the time to learn about Sanfilippo syndrome with me, Dr. Anders Stand. Remember, big or small, any action you take is a step in the right direction. Let's make a difference together.
Together!
Ta-ta, everyone!